Hi everyone. Today I just wanted to talk to y'all about academics and athletics and kind of how to try to balance both, or just examples of people who did balance both really well or people who couldn't and what happened to them. These are my four, I know they're kind of really generic, these are my four categories in which I base kind of every person. There's the non-athletes who are not very good in school. They don't, I wouldn't say like they don't fail in school, but they don't make like all straight A's. And then there's the non-athletes who are good in school, quote unquote nerds, I guess you could say. Athletes who aren't very high academically. All they focus about is sports. And then the very small group of people who are very good athletes and also very high academically. Now, this is probably the group of people who aren't very high academically and don't really do sports. I mean, it's just generic because I go home, I play Call of Duty all the time. Everyone here probably else does. But a typical school day, people who aren't very good in school probably go home, play Call of Duty all day, don't really think about school, sit at home, play Call of Duty, and then when they go to school, they don't really focus on school, they just focus on Call of Duty or the new one that came out. It's a big hit, there's no one coming out in September. Crazy. Alright, my second group of people, quote unquote nerds, I guess, people who really focus on school. There's nothing wrong with that. They're really good in school. They go to school, focus on school, learn school, go home and study, or go home and don't really watch TV, kind of study for the next day, do what you're supposed to do when you go home from school and study read your books, do that kind of stuff. Now, here's an example of someone who was a great athlete but not very good at sports. His name is Boone Miles. Boone Miles, if you don't know him, if y'all do know him, you probably know him from the movie Friday Night Lights. It's based on a true story about an Odessa Permian football team, and Boone Miles was the star football player for this team. He was running back. I mean, he had everything going for him. He was the #1 recruit in the nation. He had it all. He had letters from Texas, USC, UCLA, anywhere he wanted to go, he could go. That's him and his uncle. His uncle pretty much just taught him whenever he grew up with his uncle the whole way, and his uncle pretty much instilled into his mind that he was going to the pros and he was going to make millions of dollars. Well, one day they were playing a football game and they're up kind of big and they didn't want to put the backup in, I don't know why. So they put him back on the field and they did a sweep right, and he ran to the right and we tried to cut back, he got tackled and he tore his ACL. So he was pretty much out for the year. This is a picture of the movie. But he was out, and then later in the season they tried to come back to him, because they were losing, and he tore it again. So he was out. He was done for his whole life. And now, instead of being in the NFL making millions of dollars, he works as a garbage disposal man for the city of Odessa. My next example is Myron Roll. Myron Roll is a perfect example of how to be able to balance both athletics and academics. Myron Roll, if you look at him, he's very good. Looks like a freak, I guess, athletically. Myron Roll, coming out of high school, is also the #1 recruit in the nation, but he's also had almost a 4.0 GPA. That's unweighted in high school. What most people don't know about him is he got the Rhodes Scholarship. If y'all know what the Rhodes Scholarship is, it's about, I'd say, 10 people selected a year in the United States get to go study in Oxford, England, to further up on like their medical degree or something. And his is medical anthropology. So he's a pretty smart guy. I mean, he knows how to do both. Myron Roll was the safety for Florida State, and this past year he got selected in the 6th round to go play for the Tennessee Titans. If he didn't go to Oxford to study to be a medical anthropologist, he would probably gone in the 1st round. So even if his $1 million career doesn't turn out in football and he doesn't have that, then he can just come back on his medical anthropology career and still make millions of dollars probably. So I guess what I want to leave y'all with is just to try to be well-rounded, because if you're well-rounded, then you're the best of both worlds and you have both things to fall back on. If not athletics, then you have academics.